Yo, growing a business is kind of tricky right now. Supply chains are squeezed, tariffs and trade policies are dynamic, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. You need clarity to come out on top. Without it, you risk falling behind. If only you could hop in the DeLorean and see the future, right? Thankfully, there's NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite has real-time forecasting to help you move ahead with confidence. This is your AI-powered business management suite and the #1 cloud ERP. Trusted by over 42,000 businesses, NetSuite brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. And with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. The perfect product launch. It's the goal for every brand marketer. High heat, fast sellout, and fans posting recipes like trophies. What do Sydney Sweeney's soap drop, Taylor Swift's tickets, and your next launch have in common? Well, they're not bought, they're bragged about. Fanfare turns your drop into a moment. Fanfare cues real fans, blocks bots, and builds launch experiences worth screenshotting. Want hype without the heartbreak? Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook with our proven success formula and make your next launch unforgettable at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, fanfare.io/playbook.
You know, a community is fluid. It needs to ebb and flow. It needs to experience change. If you cannot test and adjust, then you're really hurting your community. And so I think keeping an open mind, not taking everything personal, and responding with kindness, it always wins.
You know what's really cool? It's when you're a part of a community and you provide so much value in there that you start to get recognized, you start to get some love, not just from the other community members, but even from the team itself who owns that community. And then they ask you, hey, would you like to help and manage the community? Would you like to be a part of the team? And this is a very common story, in fact, and it's one that you could live out yourself. And what's really cool, today we're speaking with somebody who's done exactly that, Heather Lynn Angel. And what community was she a part of that she became a rock star in, started becoming super helpful, providing a ton of value, and then the owners of that community reached out to her to be a part of the team? Our team, Team SPI. Heather Lynn Angel has been an incredible asset inside of our communities, inside of Pro and inside of the All Access Pass, so much so that she's now come on board. And we're going to talk about that transition, but I also want to talk to her about the things that she's an expert in. And this is partly why we wanted to bring her on board, because not only is she an expert in community, she's just very much involved in systems, especially with businesses and entrepreneurs. So if you're excited about creating a business and creating systems to make those things easier, well, then this is a conversation for you. If you're excited about community, this is a conversation for you. And I'm just very, very excited to formally announce, although we've announced this in our communities already, that Heather is a part of now Team SPI and is helping out with a lot of our accelerator groups and helping the people inside of our All Access Pass get the best results possible. So Heather, I appreciate you. Just wanted to say that out loud out front here. And I'm excited for people to check you out, heatherlynnangel.com. But stick around because she's got some resources for you as well. And here we are, session 697 of the Smart Passive Income Podcast with Heather Lynn Angel. Here she is.
You're listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, a proud member of the Entrepreneur Podcast Network, a show that's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. When it comes to milkshakes, it's either malted or no milkshake at all. Pat Flynn.
With running your own business, legal questions always come with the territory. Like, can I use this contractor agreement? What do I do if a client doesn't pay? Am I even structured the right way for taxes? Instead of Googling your way through legal landmines, imagine having a law firm ready to address your business's legal needs without the sticker shock. That's what you get with Legal Shield's small business plans. Legal Shield helps entrepreneurs access real legal help on contract reviews, collection letters, business formation guidance, and even help navigating IRS audits. Members can schedule consultations, upload documents through the app, and get support from a provider law firm that knows small business laws in your state. Plus, consultations on taxes or trademarks help you stay ahead of potential problems. And if a client is late on a payment, Legal Shield steps in with professional collection letters so you can protect your hard-earned revenue, all for a fraction of the price of hiring a lawyer on your own. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI. Hiring shouldn't be a hassle or a drain on your budget. Upwork is your one-stop shop to find, hire, and pay top freelance talent, saving you time and keeping costs in check all in one place. Companies at every stage turn to Upwork to get things done and find more flexibility in the way that they staff key projects and initiatives by assessing a global marketplace filled with top talent in IT, web development, AI, design, administration support, marketing, and more. And I've personally used them myself and can vouch for them. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level. Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry-low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com. Go there now. Heather, welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Pat. I'm so excited to be here.
This is a sort of special time for both you and I because, you've been part of the SPI community for a while. You've been an SPI Pro and have been a star member there, but now you're actually on Team SPI.
Yay!
Woo! You're one of the, you might be actually the only person to ever kind of like level up so much that you're now a part of the team. So congratulations. Thank you for being here. What is your role now with SPI?
I am on the CX team, so helping the community manager Jillian and Ashley with kind of the behind the scenes things, coming in as a member viewpoint to just kind of offer suggestions on things that I'm seeing and have seen. And I've got a lot of relationships with the actual members. And so, that's been one of the benefits of SPI. And so having talked to people, so I kind of have the inside scoop, I guess, now on both sides.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's one of the benefits of sort of building a community. You can hire from within, and there's no better person to do what it is that you're doing than you, because you've been showing up and you've gotten to know people, and it helps supports us. So I think it's a win all around, which is great. And the CX team, or the community experience team, that's really the word that makes it run, which is experience. And I know you have a lot of experience with community and online business in this capacity. Tell me a little bit, Heather, about your origin story, and then we'll get into later some tips for people who want to start community or maybe have communities that might seem a little dead right now, and we can liven them up again. But let's go back to your story. How did this all begin for you?
It's kind of a story born from tragedy, but it is a really good ending. My father was in a really serious accident. He was MIA. They had to med-vac him to a trauma unit. And while he was riding a motorcycle and was hit, and so the whole unit was full of trauma patients. And during that week that he was in there, we were trying, all of the things to save him and figure out what was going on. I was meeting people in the waiting room and getting to know them. And I didn't realize until after that happened, but looking back on it, how much community meant to me. Like, I was the one out of my family, the one keeping in touch with everybody, and the one checking on all the other patients in the hospital, because I would make friends in the hospital. I would then go and check on them and make sure that, they were being taken care of and that they were okay. And it was a way for me to reach out to other people, and we were all kind of in this together. And I think that was the start of my realizing how much community meant to me in a very unique way. And so community became my passion. And I, at the time, was a systems strategist. And so I was starting a company as a system strategist and starting to build communities for people as they were becoming more, for my clients, as they were becoming more known, and not again making the connection that community was that piece that I loved about my business. And so once I realized that, I worked with a business coach and realized that, I quickly leaned into solely working on community and the different aspects of that. And so that's a very kind of quick version of how that happened. It took many years.
I think we all have experienced it before in our lives, not even online, and just in our neighborhoods and in our families and in our churches and all those places. And to bring those sorts of feelings and connections and the sense of belonging online can definitely be a challenge. And so you're saying that you were kind of doing this for other people and then realized that this is what you love so much that you've just leaned into it yourself. And I know that you have your own communities that you're working on. We'll get into that. But what would you say are the most important elements that makes a community successful? I think a lot of people are trying to create communities. If you remember, like a few years back, it was just like, oh, I'm going to set up a Facebook group and now I have a community. But obviously, it's a little bit more than just setting up the space for it. What are the things that are required for a community to really thrive?
Yeah, so community there's so many things, right? But community should be about the people inside of it and nurturing that connection. We all want connection. We all want to belong to something and be a part of something. And I think in community, because it's a space where like-minded people come together, right? Kind of like Facebook is an example where you have a bunch of people coming together that are of the same mission, the same mindset. But an actual online community takes it a step farther where you can talk to each other and communicate with each other, and you can learn from each other and teach each other. And the relationships that you get out of that and that are just beyond anything that you could get one-on-one.
Yeah, for real. I mean, I'm remembering when I got laid off, I felt very alone, and I had my fiance to help me through that time. But, other than that, there wasn't really anybody who kind of understood what I was going through or what I was trying to do or accomplish. And I ended up joining the Internet Business Mastery Academy, the IBM. This is a old school podcast about internet business, and it was the only one that really felt like the two hosts, Jason and Jeremy, were actually just like me, regular people who were trying to make it work and build a thriving business for their families, and not to, build a mansion or get a yacht or anything like some of the others that were out there at the time. And what ended up happening was they opened up the launch for their Internet Business Mastery Academy. And this was in 2008. And this is, of course, yes, there was education in there. And I think communities can, it's like people come for the content, but then they stay for the community, I often hear. And I went in there because I wanted to learn how to build a business. But what I got out of that were relationships and a sense of belonging and people who were just like me trying to figure it out. And it made me feel like I wasn't alone anymore. And still to this day, I am friends. And in one case, I'm actually in a mastermind group that meets weekly, that one of those people from 2008 is still in with me. I mean, that's 15 years we've been together as a result of Sterling and Jeremy and Jason putting that group together. So there's so much power and so many lives can change when somebody steps up to create those safe spaces for people to come together. And so for the creators out there who are listening, Heather, who are like, yes, community is great, I've tried, or I'm really excited about, the idea of building a space for our people to come together. Oftentimes it then gets halted with, how do I even go? Like, where do I even begin? This seems hard. As an expert in community, how would you recommend a person even begin to fathom the idea of putting people in the same space online? Like, where do we even begin with that?
Yeah, that's a common question, and it's a tough one. So you need to look at your audience first. Who do you want to serve? Who do you want to connect together? And for what purpose? And then going into what platform do you want to use? Because depending on who you want to serve and what you want the outcome of will depend on the actual platform that you use. And then there's all of the tech, the tech stack that you use and everything that goes into that. And it is overwhelming. I would say, and I'm so used to working on everybody else's. I'm finally launching my own, which
Hey.
which is exciting. People keep asking if I have one, and I'm like, no, I've done 25 for other people, but I don't have my own. So figuring out really your goals and being very clear on that and keeping it extremely simple. You can complicate it later.
Yes. Oh, that hits home.
Yeah, you just need to get it going. And I am preaching to the choir, but yeah.
I mean, the people listening, they want to join the choir, right? And so let's talk about platform. There's a lot of options out there. What, from your perspective, is a good recommendation? I mean, I think you said it kind of depends on your audience, right? Like if I had for example, a gaming community, Discord might make the most sense for something like that, because that community and the younger generation kind of is on that. But for more professional communities, maybe for the audience that who listens to SPI and often their communities, like where or what platforms would you recommend?
Circle is my top platform right now. I know that's what SPI uses. That's how I actually got introduced to Circle, was joining SPI at the very beginning. And I fell in love with it then. I love the owners and their mission, and that is very important to me. Heartbeat is another one that I've started to really get into, and I really like, again, what they stand for. Those are my top two currently. There's several others that I have built in, and some I don't at all recommend, but and then there's some that have great potential. They're just not quite there yet. But Circle and Heartbeat, yeah.
I've not heard of Heartbeat yet. There's another one that seems to be coming out of the woodwork, which is like, I think it's School is another one. But Circle by far is from my opinion, and full disclosure, yes, we use it. I'm an affiliate. I'm an advisor to the company. So, even if I wasn't, I would say these things. Circle is by far the easiest to set up, in my opinion. And also, what's really important is the user experience, right? Your members' experience. And I've tried other platforms before where it's just so confusing. Circle is very intuitive. It's almost like a Slack and Facebook marriage. So it feels familiar even though it's new. So, okay, Circle, definitely check that out. And we'll have links in the show notes and everything for people who want to check that out. When you say simple, I mean, you're right. It's just so easy to overcomplicate this and to want to design our communities in a way that have all the bells and whistles and all the fun things that we know can make a community great. How do we keep it simple? What are I would say, what are the baseline requirements for a community to thrive that would allow for simplicity, but still a good experience inside?
With using Circle, and Heartbeat is the same way, you want to make sure that like you said, the user experience is essential. It also needs to be very easy to use from a setup point of view, but not just setting up, managing as well, right? So if if your members can't talk to each other, that's not going to be a great user experience. If it's not easy to find a conversation, if it's not easy to know where to put a conversation, then that complicates the whole thing. So I think, one of, like, in Circle, there are these spaces, right? And so you can label each space, and then members can put information in those spaces and interact back and forth. And a lot of people want to go in, start their circle or their community with a lot of information and a lot of spaces for people to be able to go in, because they want people to have choices. And when you're first building a community, I think realizing that that's going to change very quickly. It's not going to be at all what you thought it was going to be in 6 months. Right. So
true.
Starting simple and making it very easy to go around. And then, of course, the onboarding is really critical as well, making sure that people do know how to get around.
Let's talk about onboarding a little bit, and then I want to get into your community and sort of the things that are going through your head right now, because you're about to launch this thing. And by the time people listen to this, it will have been a cohort that would have gone through a certain period of time with you, and maybe we can check in with you in the future. Or, of course, if you, listener, are a member of SPI Pro, I'm sure Heather's going to update us on a lot of what's happening through real-time messages inside of Pro. But onboarding, what is a great onboarding experience like? Like, let's say that I am a member of a new community. how would a great community take me through, like the moment I sign up and pay to get access to that community, what ideally should happen next?
So that again depends on your audience. And the reason I say that is some audiences are very, very short on time. I am currently, one of my clients has a nonprofit. He's not a nonprofit, but he helps nonprofits. He coaches them in that. And his nonprofit audience does not have time, a lot of time. So I love to gamify onboarding, and I'll explain that in just a second. But for his audience, it would not work because they just want to get right to it, right? So you have to know your audience to know how to onboard. Gamifying, what I was talking about, and that's it fits my personality. I love that kind of thing, is when you can take somebody through the onboarding and they're earning badges for completing things, and it's like a scavenger hunt is a possibility. So they're doing different things in the community, and the purpose is to get them to interact in the community, to feel comfortable in the community, but having a goal or a mission. We're all competitive, right? So it gives that competitive edge, and then they get a badge at the end, and they can say, hey, I completed this, but it also teaches them along the way.
That's cool.
So some of the things that I like to do is to have an onboarding survey so that you can learn about them. And kind of a quick tip that I learned from somebody else was, if you ask them a certain question, like she asked when I joined her community, she asked, what was my favorite song? So I put my favorite song in. And when I had a one-on-one with her, she was playing my favorite song.
Wow.
And it was the coolest thing, because I got on and I was like, how do you know this song? And then I remembered, and we're like, because it's not a song that's very popular or common. And so we're, dancing to it, and it got that kickoff started so comfortably. And yeah, it was really fun. And so really, really knowing your audience and just honing in on those specific things. But the other thing that I want to kind of caution or make sure that you do is to get them interacting in a way like a say hello space, that kind of thing. Nobody wants to be the first one to say something. When they come into a new space, you don't want to be the first one to say, typically, hey, I'm here. And so introducing them or having them introduce themselves in a common space, that kind of thing. So those are kind of some tips to.
I like that. That sort of reminds me. So the gamification so onboarding is really important because that's like it sets the tone, right? It sets the tone of the community. If you can essentially train new members to already begin interacting and teaching them how to do that, but also like showing how cool it is, right? And how fun it can be to interact, the better for the long term. It's like a video game. A lot of video games, level 1 is literally just a tutorial level, but you have a goal and you unlock a couple things, and then all of a sudden, you're spending hours in there because it was, gamified for you. The worst thing to happen, I would imagine, would be you onboard and a person maybe does take the time and chance and risk on their end to, because it feels risky sometimes to interact in new communities. They post something and then nobody replies. Like nobody comments back. It's just kind of like you're talking to yourself. How does one ensure that there is a response or a handshake back? Because I know this and you know this, community doesn't happen in an automated fashion. There is some work to be done to make people feel like they belong. But how do you make sure that a person is being responded to, especially those newcomers?
So there's a couple different ways you can. One of those is going to be just making sure that you're personally reaching out to them. That's not always. If you've got a community of 3,000 people, and you've got 1,000 people joining, not 1,000, but several hundred joining a month, right?
That's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah, you're going to have to automate some of that. However, speaking to people that are just starting out or that are trying to get this started, you want to reach out to them personally. You want to personalize that first contact as much as possible. The other thing I recommend is hosting, as soon as you launch, hosting several, so that people have times to choose from, but hosting several onboarding kind of calls where they can be a group
like
call.
Orientation.
Exactly. Yeah. And so they're getting to see and meet the other people, maybe playing a game, a very brief, like, would you rather, or something like that, kind of interactive game in there. Just something to get them comfortable. If they're comfortable, they're going to then interact inside the community, even if they've only met one person. The other thing you can do, and I actually learned this from Tom Ross, shout out to Tom Ross. I'm in his community as well. And he will, if you DM him, he will take that. He will say, hey, can you post that in the community? Tag me so that I can answer, and then we'll get communication, and conversation going. So he's helping to bring great questions out of the DMs and into.
That's really smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. That's cool. Another way to encourage engagement, and this is beyond the onboarding process. This is as maybe a community starts to feel like it's not as lively as it once used to be. One strategy that works really well inside of SPI and that I recommend for others is to @tag other people who maybe know the answer to somebody's question, right? To kind of it's almost like if you're in person, right? One of my favorite things is like, if you imagine you're in some party somewhere and you're having a conversation about something or somebody has a question, you're like, you know what? I don't know the answer, but hey, Jim, come over here. Like, I know you went to Peru recently. Like, what would you recommend for Janice, who's going to be visiting there next week? And Jim is happy because he's getting some attention. And I don't remember the names I used. Janet, I don't know, is going to Peru and now they're connected and they're probably going to bond and have time to chat with each other. There's so much value in being a connector, right? Some of the most valuable people in the world are connectors, in fact, when they themselves maybe don't even know all the things, but they know how to bring people together who need each other. And that's what a huge benefit of building community is. Tell me about the community that you're building right now and how you're going about launching it. Who's it for, perhaps, is where we should start.
Yeah. So it is for community creators. So I'm launching a 4-week cohort, which will be just twice a week for 4 weeks. So it's a little intensive, but we're building a community live. So I was going to be building a community for a client, and I said, why don't we do this live? Or what can possibly go wrong? So, so we're going to build that live with a very small cohort of people that are also building their communities live. So I'm teaching them by showing and doing. And then the second day of the week, second time that we meet, we'll have a office hours / co-working session. And so that 4 weeks will then launch into my community, which primarily who that is for is solopreneurs and coaches that are creating community. So I'm trying to make it, I'm such a huge tech nerd. And so I love the tech and automation side of things. And so I'm trying to bring that expertise in along with just the overwhelm that I'm seeing out there with people have a great goal, a great mission, a great dream, but they don't know how to get it started. So that's the purpose of that.
That's awesome. And again, by the time people listen to this, that cohort will be finished, the community likely launched. Where should people go to check out what you have going on? And, even if this is the far distant future, maybe something else is happening. Where should they go from here?
Yeah, go to heatherlynnangel.com.
heatherlynnangel.com. Okay, cool. That's easy. And we'll have links in the show notes as well. To go back to, I'm curious, what's the purpose of the cohort to start this? Why not just launch the community right out the get-go? What's the purpose of the 4-week cohort beforehand?
Yeah, I think there's many reasons. One of them is because I'm a huge procrastinator of my own stuff. So I wanted to do something live. I love teaching. It's my passion. And I wanted to be able to do something with a small group of people where they were holding me accountable, I was holding them accountable. And so it's kind of a dual purpose, right? And then the fact that I was building this community and it was around the same time that I was wanting to launch my actual community, I thought, let's do that first. Bring those people in, work out the kinks of the community, because we're going to do it all in community. We're going to do it all in Circle. And so the cohort thing will be in Circle, and then the community aspect is in Circle, which is one of the beautiful things of a platform like that. You can keep everything in one place. By doing that, I can kind of launch the community aspect. There's no more delaying it. There's no more putting it off. There's no,
it probably feels risky. It probably, you're
It
probably
does.
feeling nervous about it because it's like, but what you got to do? You got to put some pressure on yourself. And like, I love how you know that about yourself. I think that's a very smart thing to do, is to understand how you get in your own way. And then essentially just like, don't like put things into place to counter your own tendencies. And I tend to do that as well. And it's very similar. It's like, let's just launch the thing. And then as soon as there's other people involved, like then I'll do it. Right.
Right.
I mean, that's a really good thought as far as people listening to this who want to start a community and have been delaying it and procrastinating. Getting started, it might even be a similar start. I talk about this thing when launching communities called like an alpha launch. We often hear about a beta launch, but an alpha launch is something like the equivalent of like if you're launching a restaurant, right? And the restaurant was like the community in this metaphor. An alpha launch might be a private invite dinner for 10 of your friends to come to the restaurant. It's still being constructed. Like there's, tarp everywhere and there's like paint in the other room, but you have a nice table and a setup and you just want to share a couple of your dishes and just thank people for the support and give them early access and have conversations with them and just wine and dine and have some fun. A beta launch would be more the likes of like a soft launch, like, hey, just on this day or just for this week, it's open, limited menu, but come in early, you get to experience it, and then people can write reviews about it and all that kind of stuff. And then the big public launch is obviously when it's always open. But like this, again, this idea of simplifying not just the community, but the launch of it. Like, let's just get a small group of people in to do something at the start. And I like how you are already using the cohort to sort of like teach something. You're going to get people results. And I see this all the time. When a group of people go through something together and it ends, there's always people who are like, oh, I wish we could keep going. I wish we could stay together. I love who I've been working with here. And now you're already planning to do that. I think that's really great. And it's a really smart way to launch. So I want to wish you the best of luck with that, Heather. When it comes to communities that have been launched, I know not just having spaces or channels to chat about certain things, those are required, and those, you should have a few of those at least to start. But talk about some of the different kinds of live events or activations that can happen to help people engage inside of a community. I mean, there's probably a million things that one can choose from. What are your maybe go-to experiences that one could offer their fellow members?
Yeah, I've actually got a download of ideas. It's 30 different ideas for events to do.
So this must be a common question.
It is a common question. One of the things I love is to bring in other members and have them teach something. You do this really well in SPI.
I mean, you're here on this podcast right now teaching, right?
Right. So yeah, podcast community, you definitely show that in all the ways. But bringing somebody in that is not just you all the time to teach, to show a different perspective, that is really, really popular. It's very well received, I guess I should say.
Yeah. It's like, oh, somebody just like me is like they're on the stage and they have the microphone. That's one of me up there. That would be a proud moment as a member. But it would also inspire me to go, hey, could I go on stage and teach too? Like, that's really empowering. I love that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a great example of that, Pat, is I was talking to a member of SPI, and she's an amazing person. And she was, we're talking finances, and she was like saying something. And I said, you really should teach that in SPI. And she's like, SPI, I could, you think they'd want me to teach? And I was like, if I have taught, you can teach. So I've taught several times in SPI. Absolutely, you can teach. And it did help her to feel empowered. And I didn't even realize that she wasn't, because she was the last person I would have thought was surprised that somebody would recommend her to teach on a platform like that. So that's a great example of empowering other people.
So she was teaching you individually.
Yeah.
And that's a great sign to actually, this is like my gears are going right now. That's a great sign that she might have something else to offer the entire community. And on Circle, what's really nice about, at least I know in Pro, we set it up this way where Pro members can create their own events that other members can then RSVP to. And so I see a bunch of these. I know Brian did one a few weeks back about AI, which was really, really cool. And so if it might be a fun thing to encourage your members to, and I don't even think we do this, but maybe it just happens, encouraging your own members to say, hey, if somebody here that you've connected with taught you something and you think that that would be a cool thing to teach others, like let Team SPI know. And we'll reach out to them and see if they might want to run a workshop or do something. And the other cool like byproduct of this, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to do this, like I already mentioned, but also it's like, now I don't have to teach. Like,
Right.
I get time back, and the community is, I mean, it's just a win all around.
Yeah. And it does give a different perspective, which is great. So another thing is, of course, office hours. And this is another one that you do, but having office hours that people can come and, whether it's 5 people or 50 people, they can come and they can learn off of each other. And another thing I do or suggest to do in most of my communities is like a lunch and learn, where it's just casual, which is similar to office hours, except that there's a specific topic being taught. It's only 30 minutes. It's a quick in and out. It's just a casual, quick learn, quick, interaction. Of course, networking events need to happen just so that people can see each other live and get to know each other. And yeah, I could go on and on. There's a list.
There's a lot. And you had mentioned the download earlier. I want to make sure people know where to get that. Is that at the same link, heatherlynnangel.com?
heatherlynnangel.com/SPI.
Okay, cool. So I love those ideas. As we finish up here, let's help the audience by talking about some of the big mistakes perhaps that community owners make so that we can avoid them or at least look out for them. What are some common mistakes that community owners make with their members?
One of them is not onboarding. We've already touched on that, but I have actually had clients that have said, no, I'll onboard later. We just want to start the community. And their community did not succeed, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's that important.
It is that important. So that is a huge one. Not having personal interaction with the members. And that's somebody on the team, making them feel welcome and wanted. Your membership is going to be better because they are there. That needs to be felt.
I got one. Over programming, like having way too many things to choose from. And we caught ourselves doing this in the early days as well, which was there's this challenge and there's these 5 things happening this week and there's like a live workshop and we have a guest. It's like, great, you're adding all this value, but there's also the opposite side, which is this is too much. This is overwhelming, right? And a lot of members could potentially feel overwhelmed. Now, one way to combat that, because you obviously still want to provide value, is to tell everybody and set the expectation that you don't need to do everything in here, right? If you miss a live thing, don't worry, there'll be next ones and you can choose the ones that make sense for you. But I feel like, especially the entrepreneurial community, I mean, everybody listening knows this, it's like we're at a buffet of learning. We want to fill our plates with as much as possible, right? And this is what my next book is about. It's like, okay, we're at the buffet, but we got to control ourselves a little bit. So as a community owner, be cognizant of all the programming that you have and what that might look like. What are the optics of that too? Especially a new member who's like, what? I feel like I'm in this expo hall and there's so many things to choose from. I'm lost. So like you said, simplify for not just the creation purposes, but for even the consumption purpose. So that's a big mistake I see and that we've lived through.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great example. Another one is not being willing to change. A community is fluid. It needs to ebb and flow. It needs to experience change. If you cannot test and pivot, I know there's controversy around that word, but if you cannot adjust, then testing. It's all about testing. If you can't do that, you're really hurting your community.
I'll finish up with another one, which is not collecting feedback, right? I think providing you're going to get feedback, and a lot of times you'll hear more negative feedback than positive just because that's when people speak up, is when something negative happens. And I think it's important to learn how to handle that. Maybe we could start there. How does one respond to a negative or harsh or, not so happy comment from one of their own members of their community?
With kindness.
Yeah.
With trying to look at their point of view, not taking it personal, as more than likely it's not against you or they wouldn't be in that community. Where is it stemming from? Is there something, that you do need to take a look at and fix? And so I think keeping an open mind, not taking everything personal, and responding to them with kindness, it always wins.
Always, 100%. That's such a huge lesson. Empathy, put yourself in their shoes. And then how might you create moments to collect feedback so that you can get both positive and negative feedback and continue to adjust and optimize? So I know that some people will, at the end of, like, if there's any lessons or any sort of courses inside of a community, they'll often put a feedback form like at the end, and those don't often get used very often. Are there any other or better ways for a creator to collect feedback from their community?
One way would be to use something like a Bonjoro, where that is, a video, for those that don't know, a video platform that you can leave a message and then they can respond back to you.
Yeah, it's super easy.
Yeah, it's easy and it's personal. And so it makes them feel like connected, and it's not just text, which sometimes text is fine, but it makes you want to reply back. Another thing would be just quarterly, just asking, putting it out there. I think so many of us get caught up in our own communities that we forget to ask, and we forget to really, and then looking at the questions that are being asked in the community. Are they being addressed? If there's frustration, what's being done about that, and really taking note of that. So that's not a survey per se, but it is a way to survey the community.
That's great. One thing that we do that is really helpful is our town hall meetings. This is like moments during the year where it's like, hey, if you want to help the community, if you're a part of it and you want to say, like, here's the space to say it. And I love that Jillian and Ashley have been doing really good with that, and David as well. So just something to encourage you. That's really helpful too if you have a larger community, because then you can kind of get everybody in the same room who are truly caring about it and sort of manage those questions as, in one spot. And yeah, it kind of can feel like you're being put on the spot at times. Like that's like you're almost kind of inviting negative feedback at times, but it's not because they want to be negative. It's because they want the community to succeed, and you have to remember that. So Heather, this has been really great. It kind of it started as an interview, and then it became like a collaborative effort to help the audience. And, that I think speaks to just the power of community, like different people coming together to help others and help each other. And I'm just so grateful that you're now officially on Team SPI and working for us to better serve the community. I think the SPI Pro and the communities in general that we have are much better off because of it. So thank you so much for that and for your time today. Where can people go one more time to follow along on your journey, get the downloads, and continue to learn more about community from here?
Yeah, absolutely. It's heatherlynangel.com is the website. heatherlynangel.com/SPI for the download. And then I'll have resources in that, that come in and out of the website periodically. And then all the social media is at heatherlynangel. So it's just easy. It's heatherlynangel all across the board.
Awesome. Heather, thank you so much. I appreciate you. You are indeed an angel, and I look forward to seeing you in the community.
Thank you so much, Pat. I appreciate you as well.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Heather. Heather, you are absolutely a rock star. Thank you so much for not just being a part of our community, but also helping to foster and nurture the community now as a member of Team SPI, and that means so much to us. Thank you so, so much. I know that I've already gotten some positive feedback from people who have worked with you inside of the accelerator, the community one, which makes sense because we just launched that. So thank you, Heather. Thank you for listening all the way through. If you want to check out the resources Heather has, please be sure to go to heatherlynangel.com/SPI. She has specific resources just for you there. And make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss out on these upcoming episodes, including episode 700. We're only a couple episodes away from that now, which is absolutely wild. I cannot believe we are at 700. So thank you so much for being here with me on the ride. And we're not stopping anytime soon. So hit subscribe and we'll see you soon. Cheers, peace out. And as always, Team Flynn for the win. Hit up smartpassiveincome.com/session697 for all the show notes and links in this episode. Cheers. Thank you so much for listening to the Smart Passive Income podcast at smartpassiveincome.com. I'm your host, Pat Flynn. Sound editing by Duncan Brown. Our senior producer is David Grabowski, and our executive producer is Matt Gartland. The Smart Passive Income podcast is a production of SPI Media and a proud member of the Entrepreneur Podcast Network. Catch you next week. I get it. You want to grow your business, but selling at scale feels overwhelming. You're drowning in complicated funnels, creating different lead magnets, or constantly posting on social media. And that gets exhausting fast, especially when you're trying to sell to hundreds or thousands of people. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? A Score app quiz or assessment asks your audience key questions and gives them instant personalized results based on their answers. Your audience gets to know where they are now and shows them the steps they need to hit their goals. You can set up a quiz in minutes using Score app's templates and have a powerful lead magnet that'll do the selling for you. The best part is your audience actually wants to take this quiz, and you build huge amounts of trust before you even make a single offer. No hard sales, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. Just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI. Have you dreamt about being your own boss, but still haven't made the first steps to making that dream a reality? Well, I get that. Starting a business can feel super overwhelming with legal forms, paperwork, finances. It's a lot. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Taylor Brands. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal assets and the business assets separate from day one. From there, you get access to everything you need to get off the ground. Legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program, all designed to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, listeners of this show get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. All you have to do is head to taylorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Taylor Brands.